To anybody that clicks on this video, I hope you're having a good day. If you're not having a good day, I hope your day gets better, and I hope tomorrow is better than today. In today's video, I plan on talking a little bit about my living situation that I've hinted at in other videos. And before I go into that, I want to preface this video by saying, to anyone that didn't see my other video where I had said this, that sees this video, I don't talk about any of this stuff for sympathy or for pity, guys. I just hope to maybe inspire people a little bit, provide videos that maybe people can relate to so that they know that they're not alone. And a lot of this stuff too, I am painfully aware that it is my own choices and lack of choices that have gotten me into the situations that I've been in. Okay, so we're gonna go back to 2019 when I first moved into the building that I live in now. Before then, all the apartments that I lived in were pretty nice. Life was pretty good. Had really no complaints. I loved life. I enjoyed life. And I still do. I feel very blessed, and I try to be grateful for all of the blessings and positives that I do have in my life, regardless of how bad it might seem. But yeah, life was a lot better then. But anyway, so I move into this building, and this building has 16 apartments. It has 16 apartments and 2 stores. And if I remember right, I think one of the stores may have been active when I first moved in there, but there was only one other person living there. So there's 2 apartments being used out of like 16, right? And I feel like for you to get the gist, I gotta try to paint a little bit of a picture of the layout of the building. So it's a pretty big building. When you walk through the front door of the building, you go up this big set of stairs, and then there's this long hallway. And to your right, there are 2 units, 2 apartments, and in between those 2 apartments, there is what is now a laundry room. At that time, it was just a big empty room. So it's somewhat of a long wall. And then there is a door that separates the rest of the hallway. Before that door, there's a left turn that you can take to go out to a fire escape. So it's like this kind of L shape, right? And there's a door. And since then, they've removed the door. I'll get into that. And it's now kind of a T shape. But anyway, so there is this door, right? And everything in front of that door, at least in the hallway, doesn't look so bad. I mean, it looks unkempt, but it doesn't look terrible, right? Of course, the landlord made sure to specify not to go back there. When I first moved in there as well, there was like a sign by the mailboxes. When you first walk in the door, to your left, there's mailboxes for all the different apartments. And there was a sign that talked about renovations being done, and renovations were never being done the whole time that I was there, until new landlords eventually took over, which again I'll get into in a little bit. But so move into this apartment, and things are still kind of good, right? Things are still kind of good. I'm still socializing and hanging out with friends and stuff. I have somewhat of a healthy routine going. And not long after moving in there, I had realized that my bedroom, in the corner of my bedroom, there was a leak. The roof was leaking. And I tried to tell the landlord about it. He really didn't do too much about it. So I kind of just, tried to stay positive about it. I was like, it's fine. At least it's just in the corner. It's not in the way of anything. And as time went on, it got worse and worse. The sound, the dripping noise started to drive me a little crazy, but it wasn't too bad yet. It, as I'll get into, it gets way worse. And yeah, so it starts to get somewhat worse, right? New holes are starting to pop up. Landlord's still not doing anything. And at this time, I mean, it was kind of an emergency move as it was. I could barely afford the move as it was. And so I was kind of scraping by and couldn't really move at the time. I mean, at least that's how it felt. I felt like my only real options were I could either leave and be homeless or stay there and have a roof over my head. So the leaking gets worse and worse, right? And then, if that wasn't bad enough, the one other person that lived there happened to have bed bugs, which I didn't know about. And to anybody that has had those, you know just how psychologically damaging those can be. Luckily for me, I'm allergic to them, and it's pretty crazy, honestly, to think back on. I'd never seen a bed bug in my life, never really talked about it, never knew what they looked like, never knew really anything about them. But I remember waking up and having these like welts on me, and they were, in a line, the whole deal. And it wasn't a lot. I caught it within the first day or two, thankfully, because the longer that you don't catch it, the worse it gets and the harder it is to get rid of them. But I didn't even see one, like I said. Hadn't looked for the signs yet. But it's like I instantly knew what it was in my mind without even seeing those things. I just had a feeling in my mind that it was bed bugs. And so I'm doing all kinds of research online and stuff. The roof is still leaking, mind you, and getting worse by the day. Every time it rains, a new hole's popping up. And the dripping noise is starting to drive me more and more crazy. But I start doing research and stuff, and as mentioned, I was struggling to get by as it was. I couldn't afford to bring in an exterminator, and the landlord wasn't going to do anything about it. I mean, he wasn't doing anything about the leaky roof, so I was kind of on my own. So I started doing research and stuff, and I'd found that a lot of people online were talking about their experience in using diatomaceous earth. And so I bought, a 5-pound bag of that, I think on Amazon. And I just scattered it everywhere. I didn't do it properly. I scattered it everywhere. I got bed bug covers. I put the diatomaceous earth on my box spring, wrapped my box spring in a cover, put it on my mattress, wrapped my mattress in a cover, and scattered it everywhere. The hole in the corner that I was talking about, I just threw a handful up into that corner. I just scattered it all over my apartment. I was sleeping in it. I had a little baby mattress that I was sleeping on, and I had like a salt circle pretty much around it, and if I'm not mistaken, on it I was all bundled up, had my hood up, tucked my socks into my pants, and all that stuff was all bundled up, and was sleeping in that stuff. And to anybody that doesn't know what diatomaceous earth is, it is I do believe it's like crushed up seashells, and it absorbs moisture, I do believe. It dries them out, and it also dries your skin out. And I also have a skin condition, right? And at that time, it flares up whenever I'm super stressed out. Like, it was all on my neck and stuff. It was all red. I'm like good on it right now because life hasn't been that stressful. Thankfully. But yeah, so I'm already itching because of my skin condition. The diatomaceous earth is making me itch, and the psychological damage of having those things makes you feel like you got stuff crawling on you all the time. And eventually did get rid of them, thankfully. And then after getting rid of them, I mean, the roof's just getting worse and worse, right? It got to a point where literally I heard a crash one day, a loud crash, and a part of the ceiling literally caved in and was laying in the hallway. Got to a point where there were like buckets over my head trying to catch the water. But you could still hear the sound, right? That sound of constant dripping water will drive a person insane. And it just wore me down over time. Like I said, at first I tried to be somewhat positive about it and think like, oh, it's okay, it's all good. It's just the corner. It could be worse. and it did get worse. And yeah, it just wore me down and wore me down. And this all combines with what I've talked about. And so I'm just spending way too much time in my apartment playing video games, lusting, doing things that are just not helping me at all. The circumstances that life was throwing at me was breaking my mind down, and my habits, I was doing myself a disservice having habits that were also making my mind weaker and making everything harder. So eventually the roof caves in, and I'm sitting there one day playing my game, right? I'm chilling, playing my game, and a new hole breaks open right beside my TV. And at that point, I had just I had enough. I had had enough. Something had to be done. And so this apartment that I lived in, it was 1 story. And it had, I want to say, about 5 rooms. There was a kitchen, a living room, my bedroom, bathroom, obviously, and then there was this little room that I guess was a bedroom or supposed to be a dining room. I don't know what the room was supposed to be. It was a tiny room with no windows, but it was pretty much the only room in the apartment that didn't leak. So eventually I had moved into that room to spend most of my time in that room. And weirdly enough, being in that tiny room, I mean, this room couldn't have been more than maybe a 10 by 15 or smaller, 10 foot by 15 foot or smaller room. It was a tiny room. No windows, but during all that, thinking back on it, those were some of the best times of my life. I got into that little room, and the roof didn't leak, and I was able to let my mind breathe a little bit, and I started to pick myself back up. I mentioned in other videos that, I've had these spurts where I've allowed life to break me, and I've picked myself back up multiple times. And so I was picking myself back up, started playing the game less, playing it more as a hobby rather than something to escape reality. I started to play guitar, started to learn how to play guitar and stuff, started journaling, started taking cold showers, just a lot of stuff that were actually helping me. I was trying to build better habits, and life kind of got better. And then eventually new landlords came to buy the building. You know what, let me back up a little bit. Before the new landlords came and bought the building, I had done a little bit of exploring in the building just to see how bad it really was, right? And that door that I had talked about that kind of separated the hallway, that kind of split the hallway in half, the forbidden door, if you will. Well, I went behind that forbidden door to see what there was, and it was like a nightmare. The the ceiling was caving in so many places. Nobody had been back there to clean or organize or do anything in years. The apartments back there were filled with furniture and stuff, almost as if people had just up and left their stuff there. And the landlord just kind of took every apartment, all the furniture was in one room, kind of just thrown in there, as if the landlord kind of just took all the furniture and threw it into one room of each apartment. And yeah, I mean, there's buckets back there that are full of water. There's carcasses of every kind of animal that you could probably imagine, as far as rodents and birds and stuff like that. It's just terrible. Wallpaper peeling, it's terrible. It was pretty much an abandoned building, but there was somebody that owned the building, but he just didn't really care, I guess, to upkeep the building. And so that takes me back to how I was saying, eventually new landlords came and bought the building, and things were good for a while. They started to fix the place up, and things were better for a while. But as they started to let more and more people in, I guess they just let any and everybody in, I don't know, things just started to get worse. I mean, like right now, the rent that the landlords are trying to charge is outrageous for the conditions of the building. I mean, you don't even have to, if you just stand out in front of the building that I live in, you can smell the funk and the dog urine and everything. It's bad. And then you can only imagine when you open the door and actually go in the hallway. Multiple times now, when I go to leave, up and down the stairs inside, there is dog urine that I have to avoid because I don't want to track it in my apartment, you know. And it's summer, so as you can imagine, it just does not smell great. It does not smell great. And guess what? So this was when I had dealt with the bed bugs and got rid of them myself. This was about 5 years ago, and from everything I've seen online, they can survive up to 1.5 years without food, and that's like max, everything that I've seen. And so it's been a lot of years. I'm almost certain that I got rid of the ones that I had got from my neighbor, and I'm almost certain that the ones that my neighbors had eventually died off. Well, one of these neighbors that these new landlords allowed back in brought them back in, and that what I've been mentioning in other videos, how something distressing happened last month. I had gotten told earlier this year that one of the neighbors brought them in, right? So still having that big bag of diatomaceous earth, I treated my apartment more properly this time. I didn't scatter it around everywhere. I put it in places like where you're supposed to put it, around the baseboards, around electrical sockets, you know. I put it around doorways and things like that, in a lot of places, but I dusted it this time instead of making a huge mess. And one day I am chilling, doing my thing, and as I mentioned, I have a skin condition, right? So sometimes I randomly get itchy. Even though it's not flared up, it's still lightly there. And so sometimes I'll get itchy, and sometimes spots will like pop up, and then they'll go away. As long as it's not super flared up. When it's super flared up, like, it won't go away on its own. I have to use this shampoo called Selsum Blue as a lotion pretty much before I take a shower to get rid of it. So yeah, I'm chilling, right? And I feel this itching on my leg, and I look at it and I'm thinking it's my skin condition at first, and so I pay no mind to it. A minute goes by, about, not too long, a little bit of time goes by, probably, like I said, about a minute, and I look at it, and it creeped in my mind that that's probably what it was. And I look down in my chair and I see one of the little critters crawling. And so I pick it up, squash it, flush it down the toilet, and it's just got me, at the time it had me just freaking out so bad, right? Like, I don't think anybody wants to deal with those things. And myself being allergic to them, I really freak out. I really freak out with them, to be honest. It really messes with my mind. But I feel like everything happens for a reason. I feel like I was being too sedentary, and it kind of shocked me out of it. So I'm kind of grateful, because thankfully that is the only experience I had with them. And supposedly the landlords are treating every week. And I haven't seen another one myself since. I think that sums up everything, to be honest. And yeah, guys, that is where we are today. And yeah, like I said, in weird ways, I'm grateful that it happened, because it shocked me out of my sedentariness, if that's even a word. And it's another one of those things where if that didn't happen, I probably wouldn't be here making these videos. And I greatly look forward to making these videos every day. I look forward to reading the comments. They really brighten up my day. Thank you to anybody that comments, all the kind words, the love and support. I'm so grateful. It started with a leaky roof that wasn't too bad. I tried to stay positive about it. It started to get worse. Ended up with bed bugs. Got rid of the bed bugs. The leaky roof got way, way worse, to the point where it was unbearable. Switched my main room into a teeny tiny room with no windows, which ironically enough, I thrived way more in that little room than I did that whole time in that apartment. I think I forgot to mention, not sure if many people that are gonna see this video are gonna make it this far through to realize I forgot to mention that that apartment, once the new landlords came, after they had kind of fixed up the building a little bit, I had moved to another apartment across the hall. So I still live in the same building, but I live in an apartment across the hall, and this apartment I live in now is a bit nicer. They did kind of rush it though. It's nicer than the other apartment, which I'm very grateful for. But it's still not super ideal. It's not necessarily what I want for myself. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's life, right? I am trying to work on improving that for myself, but it takes time. But yeah, guys, I think that is about it. Yeah, I moved into the new apartment and things got better for a while and then got worse again. And so it's just been this up, down, up, down. It's like every time I gain hope and try to do better, life craps on me a little bit, and I let it break me. But not forever. I do eventually pick myself back up. But yeah, guys, to anyone that makes it this far in the video, and to anyone that is going through a hard time right now, whether it be your living situation or anything else, and maybe you feel stuck, maybe you feel a bit hopeless, but you still have it. You still have a bit of hope in you, enough hope to not completely give up, not completely give up on all this stuff, but you feel stuck. Just keep trucking, keep moving forward. Things will get better. Keep trying to think of how you can improve your situation. It might not come to you right away. Just keep trying to think about how you can improve your situation. And at the very least, if you're going through a hard time and you're really struggling and feel hopeless, try to build your mental strength up a bit, which is going to be a future topic for a future video. Talking a little bit about mental strength. But yeah, I hope everybody has a great day. It was actually raining this morning. I thought I was gonna have to come out and record in the rain, and I would have. Not gonna let the rain stop me from recording. Like I said, recording these videos are the highlight of my day. I'm not gonna let some rain stop me. I have places in mind to record to kind of shelter from the rain a little bit. Because as I said, I really don't want to record videos at my apartment, because part of this is getting outside. Part of recording these videos is the aspect of getting outside, and giving you guys a decent backdrop. But yeah, guys, this video is already going on quite a while. I think I got everything. If I forgot anything, I think I got the main points out to where you can kind of understand me a little better, understand my situation a little better, and the living situation that I've kind of hinted at in previous videos. But yeah, guys, I think that's about it.